La siguiente charla es a dúo. Vamos a dar la bienvenida a Chris Brook, que lleva trabajando 10 años en la gestión del cambio y viene acompañado de Isabel Andraca, que es responsable de experiencia de usuario de British Telecom. Juntos han trabajado en los últimos meses en un proyecto pionero en Europa para conseguir la motivación de los call centers y lograr, ¿no?, una mejor experiencia del cliente. Así que, bueno, ellos nos cuenten un poquito más esta experiencia. Un fuerte aplauso para los dos.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I apologize that this is in English, but my Spanish does not exist. It probably has its advantages, because if you've got any negative tweets, feel free to write them in Spanish. And any positive ones, well, English is good. It's good for the confidence. Isabel and I are really pleased to be here today to talk about how gamification is being used to redefine our contact center experience by motivating our employees to deliver a great customer experience. We're on a journey. We're not quite finished. We're still going through this. And I'll tell you the reasons why we're going on that journey in a short while. For those of you who are not aware, BT is a global communications company with revenues of £18 billion per annum. Isabel and I work in the department which is responsible for collecting most of that cash. And our seniors gave us a challenge to improve a specific market segment, which was the small business market. This is worth £2 billion to us. So what was the objectives for the unit? Well, they had two objectives. One was to collect the cash, and the other one was to keep customers happy. Now, in terms of cash collection, we're pretty good at that. We do it well. We've done it for a long time. But in terms of keeping customers happy while we take their money, we weren't that good at it, and we were pretty poor. So we looked into the reasons as to why we weren't doing a good job there. And what we found was we had a lot of customers who were repeat calling, and they were calling back to talk about the same issue on the account, to talk about a similar issue, or to talk about an issue on a different account that they had with us. This isn't good. It's not good for customers, because nobody wakes up in the morning and thinks, I really want to phone BT billing. It doesn't happen. And also, it's not good from us from a business perspective, because it costs a lot of money to handle the calls. So we wanted to improve. But how could we improve? Well, that was about improving the players. This was our advisors. And we've got two groups of advisors. We have 350 advisors in the Philippines, and we have 150 in the UK. And we wanted to make their lives easier by doing three things. And it all revolved around changing the system that they were using. So one, we wanted them to be on the front foot when it came to dealing with the customer query. We wanted them to be aware of what's coming into them. Two, we wanted them to talk about other things on the account and to talk about our value-add services that stop a customer from having to call in the first place. They're not doing that, so we have to find a way of motivating them to do that. And three, well, what was three? I've lost my third point. Third point was we wanted to be social, fun, and engaging, because people are better when they end up when they're happy, or that's what I believe anyway. The system that they're using today is this, which they've used for 25 years. For the people in the Philippines, this is very hard. It's not that intuitive to do the actions to take a payment from a customer. It's very difficult indeed to find all the issues on an account. They don't like it. So they said to us, we'd rather work on different accounts than this one. So that's not good. And from the people in the UK, it was a different issue. Most of the people in the UK have been with us for 25, 30 years. They've got a lot of longevity in terms of their career with BT. And we don't want to kind of do things which upsets them. They're highly wedded to this. When we're in focus groups with them talking about why do you love this, a lot of them, relate to it, that they've used this longer than they've been married, or they've used this, before they had children, and so they don't want to let it go. But we have to transition. We can't just do this overnight. That's why we're on the journey. And Isabel's going to talk to you now about how we've moved from this world into a world with gamification involved.
Thanks, Chris. No funciona. Ah, okay, good. All right, so yes, Chris set me this challenge to come up with a fun and engaging tool for our billing agents. And this was quite a rare business thinking, because normally a company is interested in a tool that just gets the job done, rather than, especially when it's for employees. But challenge, because it let my creativity flow. But interestingly, though, gamification was never our end goal. In fact, we kind of stumbled upon it by chance, almost. But it ended up becoming one of the biggest transformational elements in this new system, if not the biggest. And the page that you can see here is the first design that we did, and it's the dashboard for the agents. It's the first screen that they see when they open the tool first thing in the morning. And it looks all fun and games, but it's cleverly designed to bring attention. I don't think you can see it. Ooh, no. Well, that top part up there, that's their performance. So it's bringing attention to their performance with the added motivational element of gamification on its side, showing them the badges that they are closer to unlock to give them that push for the day. And this page is also related to the gamification results with the background change. So the system can identify those performers based on their results. It would change the background to showing gold, silver, or bronze. So this one, the front one, is showing the gold. The other ones in the background are other options that the agents have themselves to customize the page, not related to gamification. And now I'm about to show you briefly the tool, just a very small part of it, so that you get to see the context and understand where gamification is implemented on it. So the first screen, the one on your far left, that's the one in which they will start to see the journeys that they take, those journeys that contribute to the points in gamification, and that's under pending actions, that section over there. So they will start a journey from there, they would progress it, and then they would end with a similar screen to this one, which is a confirmation page. And we decided to take the gamification element out of this, in this stage, visually, because it would distract the agent from the task at hand, which is that conversation with the customer. However, we kept a motivation touch, which is shown on the well done message. And the tone of it goes up in crescendo as the agents take more and more actions. Sorry, I think I missed to say that screen on the far left is the first screen where they start the conversation with the customer. So this is all showing that interaction. And then from here, they would either go on to the What's Next module and start and continue more journeys to win more points for the gamification, or go on to call recap, which is signifying the end of the call. And that's the yellow screen that you see there. That's where they stop having that conversation with the customer, is the end bit of it. And then they close that, they stop now talking to the customer, and then is when they can concentrate on their own call recap. This is where the meaty part of gamification is. This is where they can see the summary of how well they have done in relation to gamification during that call, so they see the number of points, and also those badges that those points have contributed towards. And now, before I show you a bit more in detail the gamification, I'd like to take you through what was our thinking process. And that would be the first thing that we had to do was to identify the journeys that had to be awarded points. And this had to be based on business priorities and also on behaviors that we wanted the agents to take. These had to be clear sets, clear tasks to do, and also they had to be measurable so that then we would be able to assess if the goals had been met. And these goals, they were based on actions that were driving poor call experience or actions that were driving value-add transactions. The combination of both would benefit both the customer and the organization. And we managed to come up with very straightforward goals, pretty straight away, like setting up direct debit, or taking a payment, or closing an open fault or a complaint. And our next bit was to come up with the points matrix, so all the complexity of how many points to award, to what journey, based on the difficulty, based on its worthiness, etc. And we went a bit further than that by adding negative points into the mix. So points would be deducted as well as being added based on certain actions by the agents. And also they could be duplicated or even triplicated based on some complexities of the actions taken by the agents. And we finally grouped all of these different journeys into themes that then became the badges. And in the meantime, we also started working with an agency to start working the creative side of it, so coming up with the icons and how the progress of the levels would be shown. So the icons, we wanted them to be cartoonish and fun, in line with the activity. And the progress, we wanted it to be very visual and very easy to grasp. And here you can see part of that end result. So you can see on the top corner how it would look for a badge in which a user has no points, no levels achieved yet. Onto the middle part, a full end-to-end, and how a level would be shown, with starting from scratch on that level to midway, in which the progress bar is half filled, and also the background of the icon, if you can notice, to the end of that level, on to the way to the five full achievement of the stars. And then from there, we thought that we would assign them a master symbol on that badge to signify that achievement of having done it all. As you can see, this is following the usual game concept, so it goes up in levels. There's 5 levels in total, like the 5 stars showing on this badge up here. And the higher the level, the more difficult it gets, so they have to get more points to achieve the higher level. And we worked out that for an advanced user, in this case a very experienced agent, to reach the level 5, it would take them around a year to achieve for each badge. I already touched upon how the progress is shown, which is with the progress bar visually, with the icon as well, with the background icon, but also numerically. They can see at the bottom how many points there are left for them to unlock that next level, to give them that push to go for those extra points. And here is where you can see the full set of badges. We were very pleased with the result. The icons have that character that we were aiming for. And we even managed to get some older or female characters in the mix, like problem solver or treasurer, which helps us to reach the mixed gender and age audience of our agents. The names is something that at first we didn't think much of, but then it ended up becoming one of the trickiest parts, because we wanted it to be also quite fun. But try thinking of fun names with billing activities. So you can see that by the time we go to direct debit, we had no more ideas left. And these are all quite interesting, but I would like to bring two to your attention in particular, which are hidden treasure at the top, second on the left, and the customer hero. So hidden treasure, this is the element of surprise. We wanted to have something that wasn't disclosed, that the agents can't really work out how to get the points for. And the reason for this is because these are actions that we want the agents to take. However, they're quite easy for them to do. And therefore, if they worked out how many points, or that it gives them points, then they could abuse the system. Like, for example, there is a symbol of a notepad at the top of every page for them to open it and write customer data on the system, as opposed to what they do today, which is taking the notes on physical notepads. Or customer hero, which is as our commitment to our customer satisfaction, because the points for this badge come specifically from a tool that we have for the customers to rate the agents that they have just handled the call once the call has finished. The cost for this creative side of it with the agency came at £9,000, which was quite reasonable, especially considering the many iterations that I asked them to do for it to get to those characters that we wanted. But this wouldn't work without the engagement of the user, so we really had to work out how this would work from a user point of view. How to engage that community of users, particularly when not always is going to be offered a material reward, because otherwise it would not be sustainable. So for this, something that is key for us is the fact that progress is also meant to be rewarded, and not just the end result, the getting the 5 stars and becoming a master. So in this sense, the managers will congratulate the agents when they achieve any new level within any batch at the end of the day, and also in real time, as they're unlocking that new level, then there will be an announcement on the TVs on the sites that they're placed in to make them kind of local heroes for the day. So in this sense, the role that the managers play is really important, because they're meant to be using gamification for coaching, for development of the individual. They'll be able to assess the progress of an individual and also benchmarking across the board, so they can see what agents need a specific help, maybe with a certain type of journey, and help them. Or even assess those that are performing really well, and therefore maybe they need to be set more challenging tasks. But the really important part of this, and this is something that Pilar touched upon earlier in a really interesting conversation, is the rewarding regularly, not to set the rewards really long term. The important part, and this is important for the majority, is the rewards, even if they're small, because it touched on the emotional factor. So for this, the managers also will create a small set of rewards, and this can be something like a dinner for 2 for the one that has achieved the most points within a batch within a week, so really short term, or, I don't know, a pair of tickets to the theater for the one that has progressed the most within a given month. And progress the most doesn't necessarily mean to achieve the most points, but progress more in comparison to how they were doing the previous month, opening up the options also for those that aren't always going to be the top performers. And this is what's great about this concept, is that it allows the organization to reward as big or as small as it's needed for motivation, or as big or as small as the achievement in itself is. But it's a reward nonetheless, and that's what will work wonders for the motivation of the workforce. Implementing a level of gamification in an organization is just one more layer in the whole strategy puzzle. Plus, it does require the commitment from all parties involved. But the fact is that gamification will increase the engagement of the user within the organization, as long as it's well played by such organization. It will improve the user satisfaction, and therefore it will increase the productivity, and that's why more and more companies are now looking at approaching customers through gamification. But maybe they should also start looking at doing it in-house. And now back to Chris to talk about benefits.
So as I said at the start, when we started on this, nobody in BT knew what the word gamification was. So there's been a lot of heart and minds in terms of trying to win people over to adopt this approach. People like it because it's new, it's different, it's fun, it's engaging. But we work in billing, which is run by accountants, and the reason why they invested in this is because it delivers real business value. So from this investment, we'll have a 200% return on investment, where we'll reduce repeats by 7%, increase paper billing by 30%, increase direct debit penetration by 30%, reduce offline queries by 11%, and all this will stop the need for a customer to call in the first place, or it'll stop them calling back. So it's going to make a real difference to us. Thank you very much.
Hola, abrimos el turno de preguntas, si alguien tiene alguna duda. Por aquí.
Hi. Very interesting. Have you found a difference between the 2 different countries? Are there things that are motivating one country more than the other, or vice versa?
In terms of gamification, or generally?
motivation in general? Because we've seen sort of differences between India and the UK with ourselves. So,
in the Philippines, they really feel rewarded if they feel part of the company, if they feel part of the brand. So silly touches like giving them lanyards with the name on, having a badge that they can take home and show their friends makes a big difference. So it's actually not the expensive rewards, it's simple things that work well.
Mira, atendemos primero esta pregunta que hay aquí, luego vamos a aquella. Perfecto.
Okay, I'm going to try to make the question in English. You said that you had 200% return of investment. Is it true? And my question is, was it easy to sell it internally? Because it's something very new, and that figure is really good. So, how did you do it? Thank you.
We sold the concept quite heavily. We visualized this a long time before we even did a lot of the business case. And we knew it was the right thing to do. We felt it was the right thing to do. We felt it was the right thing for advisors. And then we built the business case around what we thought it would do. And actually, it was part of a wider system strategy. And we got to a stage where our directors were like, yeah, we really like this. But then we showed it to other directors, and they were like, we're really jealous of what you've done. And it kind of built and built and built so that we then couldn't not do it. So we tried to really make a strong hearts and minds case for it, because generally they could rip all the value out and just do transactions, but we wouldn't get that difference in performance.
Había una pregunta más para aquí.
Lo intento también en inglés. I like to know a little bit more about the KPI to the project. KPIs
or the
what is your main KPI?
The main one is to reduce total calls. So today we have around something in the region of 40,000 calls a week, and we wanted to reduce that to around 35,000 over the initial period. And that's all the other KPIs that I mentioned in the presentation. They all lead to call reduction.
Well, thank you very much. That's all. Thank you. Fuerte aplauso.